Oh, the mic was muted, sorry. I was talking the whole time. So the mic setting was not muted itself. The physical mic the button itself was not muted. So I was looking at the graph and thinking, that's odd. sorry about this. I'm Daisuke from Maxon, and I'm trying to do a Halloween themed sculpt this week. So it's gonna be a witch, and I'm away for the next English stream, but I'll be back on October the 7th, I guess. Well, 7th for me, but I think it's the 6th, the US time. I'm just modifying the demo head you can find in the project file, so you can go ahead and like try to replicate my creation if you want. I'm just casually sculpting the head first, so like tweaking it so it fits more of the anime style I'm looking for. Usually I start the head from scratch because like sometimes you want to start from nothing because like you can easily get dragged by the default mesh or the base mesh you have. So I prefer not to start from a default head, but it depends on like how much time you have or depends on the project. But for this one I don't really have time, like I only have like 4 hours of like sculpting time, so the idea is to get this really quickly and get it really like rough and get it done. Sometimes you need these kind of like projects to actually like get used to these kind of like really quick sculpts. And like, if you look at the head right now, this part here is like really like square. So you really want to have this kind of like roundness to the head. And you only get that kind of like roundness by looking at different angles, like diagonally, or you look at it from the top, and like you look at it from the front and stuff like that. Okay, so if it looks odd, I'm gonna tweak it later on again, but for now it should be fine. So I'm gonna start the eyes. I usually just put some circles and then tweak the shape of the circle. And then I just move it into the socket, like so. And I just use the ZBrush and move it slightly forward and make it round. And usually I just paint this like in a darker color, so it's easier to see what kind of like shape it is. And sometimes you need to actually tweak some things, but usually it's fine. And you would need to have this on the opposite side as well, so I'm gonna delete higher, mirror and weld, and do this. And currently, like, if you have both sides, like, it looks a bit odd. This is because it's not looking at you, and currently it's just like looking straight. So it usually, like, it's better to have a like an angle to it, because it's gonna look really odd. And this is currently like symmetrical, so this is the reason why it looks very like dead in the eye. So if you don't want that, you can break the symmetry as quickly as possible, but for now it's fine. I'm gonna start with the brows, or the eye blushes. And for this, I'm just going to use the group to actually have an entire single group, and I'm just going to tweak this. And the same with the eyes. I'm going to paint this a bit darker so it's easy to catch. And she's looking really bored, so So like the part where you have the edge of the eye sockets, like this part should not be like this right now, because it's currently like it doesn't have any like bumps to it, so it's better to have a bit of a bump, but it shouldn't be too much obvious because it's gonna look odd. So just slightly. And then if you look at it from this angle, like you can see you have a better bump, but from the front it doesn't look too much obvious. And then you have this kind of like inside bump to it, like the silhouettes are slightly changed, so it's better to adjust this slightly. So it looks like this. And I'm gonna tweak the eyebrows slightly. And I'm gonna make another one so she has a bit of a facial expression. And you can apply the same polygroup and then make it smoother. I'm gonna do the same for the brows. And usually it's better to like not have it too long, because like the current like animation standard or the current like the anime look of the character is pretty much the same length or a bit shorter than the actual like the what do you call those this part here, this part here. So it should be a bit shorter. These kind of like trends come from some kind of like a fashion industry standard, or if it looks cute, like people tend to like change these standards. Okay, now I have a better shape for the character. And usually people would like to have a secondary like line above the eyes, so it has that kind of like a fold to it. But usually some people like sculpt the folds, but like it's better to like just draw a line because it's visible and like it's usually the way to go. Okay, then I don't need this part. Then I'm just gonna close hole, ZBrush, and oh, should be fine. Okay, the base of the head is done. Now I need to start getting some like parts for the hats and the, what do you call those, magical hats? Hello, welcome. So, I'm gonna just make a hat where the cone, like looking like a cone or something like that. So I'm gonna make something like this. I'm just gonna make the bottom part flat, and then I'm gonna like flatten a couple of like shapes. And then most this area, so I can just like rotate like this, and I'm gonna tilt this backwards. I'm doing fine. It's a long day for me today. Like I need to do some like I'm doing some like streaming on like it's 5:30 from 5:30 to then I need to like move to Tokyo and then do some meeting over there as well. So busy day. Busy day. Okay, so the base of the hat is done, and now I'm gonna add a circle. Gozaimasu. そうですね、配信朝から5時半からやるのはなかなか。And then I'm gonna add thickness to this. Like this. I could apply, but like I don't think I need to apply this yet. And then now I think I could apply and make the edges a bit more smoother. like this, and then do the connection of the hat and the tip. So I'm gonna merge down, and Dynamesh, smooth. And then I'm gonna use the ZBrush so it's a bit more cleaner. Yep, something like this. And I think I can just work on the hairs. And currently I'm thinking a bit of a simplistic way to actually get the hairs. So I'm using my like original like brushes, but like people don't have access to this. Well, I did post it on ZBrush Central, and you can take a look at that as well. But like I'm gonna use the curved tubes brush for this one, so people can follow along if they want to. So if you go to the picker, like the current like default brush would do this, but if you go to the depth and if you choose the closest, it's gonna do this, which is what I'd want for this one. So if you go to the mesh, just solo it, and then if you draw it like this, it's gonna follow along the contours of the head. But if it leaves the head, like it's not gonna like snap onto the head as you do with the. If you go to the constant Z, you're gonna have like this, where it snaps to the face because it's like the closest position is the head. So it's easier to just like do something like this with the closest Z. So I want to do this, and with the stroke modifiers, size, flip V, and then a bit slightly thinner. So if you draw along, it's going to be a thinner tip. So I'm going to use this with the curly hairs I'm looking for. So I'm gonna create a base shape for the front. And then I'm gonna have something curly on the side, like this. Like this. And this is really, really simple. So I'm gonna like split the so I'm gonna split the hairs that I just inserted, and I'm gonna polygroup this individually so I have better control. So if you go to auto groups, you have this kind of like polygroups, and then if you need some parts that needs to go into the same subtool, you can do this. You can sort this out, and then you can go to group split, and then you're gonna have several parts. So this is the hair on the front. I'm just gonna tweak this slightly so it's easier to like sculpt on. So I'm gonna like tweak the thickness. I saw ZBrush's subscription. Does my old copy still good? I don't have much money for all the software. I owned it by R, and now I'm seeing the mail. So if you bought the perpetual licenses, that's not gonna change. You can still have access to the perpetual licenses, and we still sell perpetual licenses on the official website. But what changed is that you don't really get, well, you don't get access to the free upgrades that you're used to. Like we used to do like free upgrades, well, every single version that we released. But in the actual like the agreement that you like agreed on only mentions that you only have access to the 1 year from the purchase date itself. So that's like kept as the same. But after Maxon purchase, like if you purchase after the Maxon acquisition, the Pixologic acquisition, you don't have the same you don't have the same privilege that you had before. So if you purchased before December 29th, you still have access to the free upgrades up to the 1 year 1 year after you purchase. But but before, like if you have a license which is like 4R7 or 6 or that kind of like old versions, you still be able to like update to the latest version, where the current version is like the 2022.05 or like 4. I think it's 2005. 2022 0.5. You can still upgrade to that, but after that, the major updates that you will receive, you'll have to pay for those kind of updates. It's not full subscription, so people are still able to update their perpetual licenses, but it's going to be paid upgrades. It's very hard to explain this while I'm like streaming, so I'll link you to the FAQ section of the So here's the link of the explanation about the migration of ZBrush. So this mostly covers most of your questions related to the older version of ZBrush and stuff like that. Yeah, you can like pay for the upgrades when it comes out. So I'm currently connecting the hairs because it's easier to control that way, and it's easier to do this so it like bridges between the hairs. And you can also use the ZBrush so you get the basic shapes as well. Also, currently it's like really symmetrical, so usually you want to break the symmetry when it comes to like the hairs itself. Hairs usually don't come in symmetrical because like you're gonna fiddle with your fingers and stuff like that. So it's better to have it in like asymmetric. And currently it's only in a big bunch of like 4. Like you have like 6 like strands, so it's usually better to have more strands than this. Also, by the way, if you're not really sure about the actual like the migration or the actual like the way we handle the subscription and the perpetual, you can go ahead and ask the support team for those kind of questions as well. They will explain to you what kind of difference it has, and like basically what I just covered on the stream. Now, if you're unsure about these kind of stuff, it's better to ask. Confirm and then move. And I'm gonna tweak the hairs on the side as well, so it feels much more like a hair. Dynamesh and connect. Also, when you're working with like hairs, it's better to like have a line like this, so you define the direction of the hairs. Like if you have a piece of paper and then if you have a bit of like a thickness to it and then twist it, you have this kind of like twist of like back, like forwards and backwards. So it's better to have this kind of like folds where it shows which is like front and which is the back. And for the sides, I'm using symmetry for now, but I'm gonna break the symmetries after I'm pretty much done with the actual like the most of the hairs. So I'm just checking the reference. I'm gonna use the Acu curve so I get the edges of the hairs pointed. Okay, I have a hair, but the issue is with this hair is that, like, if you have a hair, this part should not be this kind of this shape. It's gonna be a bit more like this, because how do you say this? Because the hair flow like ends up like this. So usually you don't really have a band of hair like this. So it's usually better to have this kind of like the top of the hair being not really like, how do you explain this? It's very hard. Like the middle part of the hair should a bit more inwards. Like it should not be bulging. So so it's better to have a flow on the hairs, and like where the flow of the hair starts, you don't really have a huge bulge. So you have this kind of like nice curve on the hairs. Okay, so next I'm gonna duplicate this hair so I don't really have the same kind of like gap to this. And currently, because the hair is like really like on a straight line, you'd want to break that kind of like silhouette so it flows outside like this. I do have a gap where I need to fill, so I'm gonna fill that part and also add some hair components because it's a bit lacking. So currently you can see that you don't really have any like back hairs and stuff like that. So what I want to do is add more hairs by duplicating and then tweaking it slightly so it doesn't really look the same. And the same with the front side. You don't really want that hair to be actually like fully symmetrical. So I'm gonna tweak this later on where I'm gonna break the symmetry of the hairs. So it looks a bit more natural. But for now, because you don't really need to actually break it, or like you want to save a bit of a time, I'm not going to break the symmetry for now. Okay, so when you duplicate and then like if you connect the two, connect the hairs between the left and the right, you have this kind of hair where it's like basically like it doesn't look natural, right? So what you need to do is to actually like follow the contours of the head and like try to make the like flows a bit more organized. So currently I'm just like connecting two hairs at once, but now after a while you need to connect the entire hairs, especially the back side, and then you generate a unified flow to the hair. So for example, I'm gonna connect all of these. So to organize, you start from here. So merge down, and another one, and then you stop here. So I'm gonna connect these with, I think, 512 damage. And then currently, like you can see, like it's just going straight, right? But you need to connect these so it flows naturally. Like so. If you have any questions related to the stream, let me know. I can try to answer your questions. So I usually tweak the standard brush, and then so it works like damp standard but without the pinching itself. So damp standard usually has, if you go to damp standard, if you go to the modifier section, it has brush modifier 32, and what it does is it does a pinch. So if you draw a line, it's like pulling from the side. So sometimes this doesn't work nice with areas like this. So what I usually do is switch to standard brush and then add the alpha, so it works like damp standard but without the pinching. Or you can tweak the damp standard so it doesn't have the pinching with the brush modifiers, but depends on your usage. Are you working in a studio or freelance? I'm working for Maxon, so I'm a part of a ZBrush development team. Also, I do marketing as well. So. Sculpting is my hobby, basically. So basically part of the hair is done. And I'm gonna add a couple of like items so it doesn't look just an average like hat and just a wig, like curly hairs. So I'm gonna add a couple of details like a ribbon on the hat itself. So usually I just use the extract function, extract and apply and done. And I'm gonna apply ZBrush 0.5, I guess. And then I could add some polishing like this. Like this. And add a couple of details. Also, I can just go ahead and sculpt with the clay tube brush, so it has this kind of fold to it. And doing some lines. Hard creases are usually done with damp standard brushes because it's pretty nice, and sometimes you need more resolution to actually get this done. Oh, I accidentally hit the undo history. Standard brush, a bit too strong, I guess. Okay, so something like this, and then I'm gonna, I don't know, add a bit of a character to it. So currently it's just a ordinary hat, and I'm gonna add some ribbons or other variations. So there's a couple of ways you can do this. You can add, for example, anime characters would have that kind of like a signature to that specific character. Like if the character is controlling the movement of the stars, then it would have something related to a star. There's unwanted geometry inside, so I'm just going to remove this. And I'm going to tweak this slightly, so it breaks the symmetry. And I'm gonna like add some like descriptions to this witch character. So she works in potions. So she's good at potions, so it's like kind of like likely to have kind of like a ingredient around her. So sometimes it's handy to have it like hidden somewhere, or kind of like a memo written somewhere. So if she's working on a potion, I think there's several ways you can like express that, like just adding a potion to the hair, and not the hair, the hat itself, like would add a couple of detail to that, but it's really straightforward. Like you can do that anytime, right? So she could have that on the belt she's wearing, but since this is a bust, it's not gonna have that kind of stuff. But I do want to make the bust where up to the belly part. So I'm gonna make that part as well on the second string, and do some posing as well. But for now, let's just add a bit of a note. So she's using the hat to store some memos. So with this band of like ribbon, she's like holding a memo like this, on her hat, I guess. And I'm gonna use the masking. And then bend. Like this. And add thickness to this. And because it's dynamic thickness, you can tweak the size if you want, or tweak the shapes. And then, if you're satisfied, you can confirm later on. And like, I want her to be a bit lazy, so I would like to have her to like hold a couple of like things around her hat. Like she wants to have those kind of like memos quickly, so she's not gonna pack it into other things. And she can have several of these things. Also, these kind of details depends on is she left-handed or not, or like right-handed. Like, because like if you want to reach out to something on your hat or on your like equipment, then usually you'd use the right hand to hold something like a book, for example. And then if you want to read a memo, you just pull it out from the left side. So usually it's like a side weapon would be on the left, right? If she's right-handed. I've been very new to ZBrush. How do you create a new shape that is separate from the existing geometry, like how you make the card? Oh, so if you press on insert, you can insert a base mesh, like for example a sphere. So if you want a sphere, you can do this, and then you can move around, and then you can tweak these shapes like this. So if you want some kind of like a spirit, like floating around the character, you can do that as well. Like for example, you can move it around and then like change the shape, and then you can move it like this. And then if you want some kind of like a star around her hat, you can add a star as well. Usually, if you have something, like for example, if I want to have a body on her, and if I want to make a body, like I just start from a sphere, I just insert it like this, and then I'll just like tweak the shape of the sphere. So I just press symmetry and then like tweak the spheres, and then press Dynamesh. and then go along from here. So like these primitive shapes can be anything you want. So it's just a sphere or a rectangle or a plane, but you can tweak that to your liking as you go along. Or you can use the IMM brushes you can find here as well. So if you go to IMM parts, and for example, like if you click on the female torso, like you can drag onto the mesh like this, but if you press the move gizmo and then you use that on a non-subdivided mesh, you can swap this like this. So she can have a female torso. And then you can start from here as well. And you can swap this as you like. Male torso. So yeah, you can do this as well. So but the very simple way to explain it would be insert and then press some primitives. Just get used to it. That, and then you can go on to like more advanced stuff as well. You can do the extract, you can do the IMM brushes, you can use the mesh extrude method as well. So mesh extrude will be you draw a mask like this, and then it will create a shape. You can use this to multiple things as well. You can use mesh balloons. So there's multiple ones. So she's using a potion, so maybe a clip on the hair, I guess. I usually tend to like add clips to the hairs, but I don't know why. Clip. Maybe a ribbon to this as well. So I'm gonna add a rectangle. And then I'm just gonna tweak this with tiny mesh. Maybe not on the left side, I guess. Would be better on the opposite side. And then let's see. Usually when I'm creating something, like, it takes more time to like think about what things to add and remove compared to actually sculpting something, which is very odd. And then I'm gonna have this on the opposite side as well, so I'm gonna flip this. Like this. Also, it's important to like look at this from the front side as well. Like you can't really see this as a ribbon, so usually what you do is move this around slightly so it feels a bit more like a ribbon, or you move this slightly so if you look at the model from the front, like it totally looks like a ribbon. But I'm making this character so it looks slightly from the angle like this. So the ribbon should be around the area, not directly on the side, but a bit slightly more on the front side as well. So moving this slightly like this and then tilting it like this. Okay, I have 30 minutes to go, and let's see. I have a ribbon, I have basic body. Okay, I think I'm gonna work on the torso now. So there's multiple ways you can start creating the torsos, but let me just show you multiple methods. So currently I'm using the feature called Mesh Balloons, which lives under here, the masking palette. You can start by creating some shapes and then tweaking it later on with like trim dynamics and stuff like that. And then I would like to make the shoulders. And then I'm going to slightly move the neck backwards, slightly. And then currently it feels more like a a chibi character with a realistic head. So I'm going to tweak this slightly so it doesn't really look like that. Hi, welcome. So usually start with a bone structure and then add some like muscle fibers and stuff like that. I tend to do that kind of stuff as well. And like I usually make something really thin and then start from there. Oh, Kazakhstan. Welcome. I guess the belly is here, the rib cage is here, and the leg will be around here. Yeah, something like this. And I'm guessing she's not really a physical type of character, so she doesn't really have really strong muscles. So something like this. And she does have a chest, so I'm gonna tweak that later on. Also, currently, she's like looking dead straight in the eyes, so usually it's better to have this slightly like looking towards something. So I think I can clean this up by using the ZBrush with the keep polygroups option. Okay, yeah, something like this. And I'm gonna add crease and then smooth. Maybe a tongue. Oh no. Oh, that's not what I wanted. So should be this. Yep. I'm gonna add some highlights. Usually I add the highlight as a sphere, depending on the model. Ooh, what is the spike? Oh, it's a separate geometry. Oh, it's a hair. Thought it was a spike on the geometry itself. Okay, but that's fine. Well, 2 hours in so far, I think it's not that bad. No, not this color. Okay, should be fine. I was thinking about a cold set type of design. Nope, that's pretty thick. Oh, I think I can just like create the mesh without the thickness and then you can just close it up. So it's easier to manage. did I add thickness accidentally? Oh, shit. Group by normals, delete, hidden, close holes. I could just clean up the mesh by using the zero mesh or keep groups. So I can have this top and the bottom part as a separate geometry. Well, separate polygroup. Okay, I'm gonna finish up the hairs and then I'm gonna end the stream here. So I'm gonna add a bit of hair slightly. And I'm gonna separate this, split the parts. Oh, I don't need subdivision levels yet. Now I'm just going to use yellow. Okay, I'm gonna end my stream here, and thanks for watching. And I'll try to continue on October, and try to finish in the next stream. Hope you had fun. It was a quick 2-hour sculpt, so I guess it didn't turn out bad. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.